practice, we have so many problems, you know. So that's why there is skeptic opinion. Liberal democracy, but we call it more universal democracy without democrat, citizen alienated from their representative, democratic language. Democratic is more language game played in particular local environment that of the West. So that value universal may be mistaken. This is some of the skeptic opinion of democracy. So it doesn't mean that democracy is like, if you're talking about like Al-Quran with sovereign of God and so on and so forth. No, you know, one Al-Quran for universal, the whole umat manusia. You know, so what is democracy? History of democracy from ancient Greek until now. So we have a lot of idea, what is called like a definition and whatever, something like that. But in modern institution, then what is important? Election. So how democracy work? If you're talking about now, we have like a direct presidential election, one vote, one person, one value. But it's very, very funny when we are talking about, you know, the politician is always, when I ask actually for local government, we don't need direct local mayor, yeah, local leaders, direct election. We don't need like that, because Indonesia is like a 514 local government. So we are more fragmented with all this direct local government election. So we don't need like that. And then the politician always just saying that, oh, we are just going back again, mundur gitu, back forward. And I said, no, if you follow direct election, it look like during ancient Greek, 350 years before Christ. So it's very funny when we are talking. Now, actually, in the modern contemporary democracy, supposed to be representative democracy, yeah, not direct democracy in that sense. So there is so many questions, because we have like a large nation state and so on and so forth. So question, which one? Even in United States, you know, doesn't has a direct presidential election. So that's why when Hillary Clinton, her votes actually is more than Biden, yeah, or Al Gore. You know, Al Gore vote for popular vote more than Bush, but because they have what call it electoral college. So according to the system, the electoral college is the system, not direct with one vote, one person, one value, popular vote. So this is also very, very important. So democracy is very complex concept in modern politics, you know. So, but democracy, sometimes I just call it, democracy is the instrument of the liberal ideology, something like that. So, but anyway, this because this is like contestation ideas, you can see, you know, traditional affirmation of democracy, Pericles, Aristotle, Machiavelli, Thomas Hobbes, Rousseau, Madison, Tocqueville, Thomas Paine, Lincoln, Schumpeter. Schumpeter called it elite democracy, because the people just give like you just vote one boss to another boss. You know, you don't have the voters, the people, they don't have choice. You just vote for one boss to another boss, something like that. Concept freedom and autonomy, Rousseau, Immanuel Kant. But very important to say, Rousseau talking about social contract. You know, Rousseau is 17 something, yeah. But in 1900 until 1000, Islamic political thinkers, Al-Mawardi, actually has also political thoughts on social contract. Al-Farabi has political thoughts on the role of the state. Ibn Khaldun also look like the ideas of Marx, you know, value added, economic value added this 500 years before Marx was born, Ibn Khaldun already have books on that issue. So it's very, if we learn from the Western political thoughts, and actually this already discussing in Islam, during the Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then Al-Farabi, Al-Mawardi, Ibn Khaldun, Ibn Taymiyyah, Al-Ghazali, and so on and so forth. So it's quite interesting going back again to make the contestation of political thoughts in Islam and in the West. But in Islam, of course, we have a problem. Bukan problem. In Islam, usually they don't like it. Why democracy, Western democracy is more attractive because we call it people sovereignty. But in Islam, the sovereignty is in the hand of God. So this is also very important if you are talking about. Just hold moment. I would like to go to the secularism with human first, but after that, full human and less human, akal become use akal, something like that. But we know akal is very limited. The separation between state and church is not only just religious, is out of the politics, but sometimes which one of religion, what form of religion that fit in with the state. One legal system. If you're in a modern nation state, you only have one legal system, and they call it democracy. But in Islamic democratic governance, we call it the truth, the Quran and Hadith resources, not the akal. And in the Quran, embedded whatever regulation in Quran, for Muslim people and for non-Muslim is already there. For example, if you're talking about marriage, about waris, ilmu waris, ilmu marriage, divorce, and so on and so forth. So it's very interesting to look at why that we have we learn, lesson learned, and just trying to find out, because we always think, oh, but there is no countries now in Islamic countries that have democracy. Yet now you have to learn. Oh, you have going back and learn to Khulafa Rashidin. Yeah, why not? We have to as a Muslim. So going back again, election is the instrument of democracy. Ideally, when election work well, they can select office holder and government, determine policy priorities, link citizen as principal, with representative as agent. Our member of parliament is our representative as agent. Generate inclusive legislation, confer legitimate elected authorities, hold leader to account, and provide the main opportunity and most ordinary people to participate in politics. Electoral autocracy, hybrid tadi, regime, according to Diamond, competitive authorities, Lenski and Way, electoral authoritarian. The problem in reality is not like that. The rule of the game heavily titled in favor of usually incumbent, wherever in this world. This is theory of politics in 1970s, authoritarian regime and so on and so forth. Yeah, until now, something like that. Unfortunately, too often election around the globe fail. This one is fail to meet these ideals. Yeah, fail to meet this. In some contests, opponents are excluded from the ballots. What happened now in different parts of the world? Districts are gerrymandered. In United States, the theory of gerrymandering, if you make a districting, when I learned in United States, if you put like this, meaning this is the white people will win. But if you make like this, district like this, then the black people will win, something like that. The how we divided the district. So we got gerrymandered because it's a theory by gerrymandered. Then usually in United States or in different part of the world, you see like that. So that's why in 2004, this is the first time Indonesia have districting. I was the member of election commission at the moment. We try to learn more, close to high ideal close to justice, close to the history. So we learn every single district to be, to be divided because of they have a long history of this region, long history of something like that. So we open, whether we are injustice, unjust when we decided of the district, something like that. So it's a long process. I was the leader of the division of this districting, something like that. It's quite interesting. We learn one by one in every single area at the 2004 election. So because why? Yes, I'm political scientist. I know that in many countries in the world, usually district are gerrymandered, district is unjust, district something like that, including in United States. It's not only just like in country like my country. So that's why 2004 we are giving a lot of foundation of democratic politics of election, election commissioners, administration, politic of administration of the election commission. First time Indonesia has voters registration, database of voters registration. I learned from model of Australia. Why Australia is quite good in voters registration? Because in Australia we call it compulsory voting. Australia is compulsory voting, so that's why the vote numbers and vote, the voters registration better than the other countries in the world, because government has to very strict with voters, something like that. So post-election, usually we have a protest. Protest means signal the public dissatisfaction. So after 2019, we always have long protests and protests and protests. I think it's around the world. All this, including in United States but they use legal based approach, legal approach, but finally they make decision already. Trump, with all this election fraud, something like that. Partisan official abuse state resources. This is very, in some countries, yeah. The police, the military, the agent, they use the bureaucracy. Yeah, they use bureaucrat, especially for incumbent. Buying food. But we have a lot of problem now with, we call it oligarchy, the economic oligarchy, the business, who has a lot of interest to put it, the leaders, who are pro. So liberal election, liberal democracy, fair election, I think it's not fit with us, because they use money for buying, money politics, the businesses paid for campaign, for something like that. So the model of United States election campaigning, something like that, is, for me, I think it's not fit with Indonesian culture, something like that. We are more communal, more gotong royong, more something like that. So we have to evaluate what kind of democracy that we would like to, going back again for the first, the founding fathers and mothers democracy, Pancasila, something like that, that we have to put it, implement it, something like that. Court failed to resolve complaint impartially. Indonesia Constitutional Court. I still remember 2 days before, in 2019, 2 days before Constitutional Court make decision, my Facebook gone forever. I just wait like 3 days. Oh no, 7 days, and after that you are permanently gone. All my, I call it, my Facebook is look like my whiteboard as an activist. So I always put it like the data of the 2019 election, from different part of Indonesia, because I used to be national election commissioner. So I have many former election commissioners from different part of Indonesia. I put it in, just give the idea. I put it in my Facebook. All this my analysis of Facebook, and then gone, my Facebook gone. But now I have, if you really still and you learn Indonesian politics, I have YouTube. I see the real show, and also Chusnul Maria official with my colleague. So something like that. So we have a problem of the election official, something like that, And there is a problem why usually opposition excluded, use a legal-based approach, or, you just try to bring into election eradication, KPK, something like, oh, you're corrupt, so you're like that. Like the ideas now, like the Mohaimin from PKB, and because Anies finally have a candidate of Vice President Mohaimin Iskandar, and then the whole of the issue of the corruption in 2012, like 12 years ago, they came up again, something like that. But the real corruptor is still there, outside, not inside here. And usually the voters ill-informed. Now with media social, with a buzzer, regime used to use a buzzer. This is research by Oxford University. We have a problem now in Indonesia that the regime use buzzer, whoever use buzzer, something like that. So it's not healthy actually. Then many activists also put it in jail already, but now it's already outside. So there is also the issue of Islamophobia. So it's a lot of issues that we are facing now for the next election, only just in the corner. So building democracy is a complex process. Election are only starting point, but if their integrity is compromised, so is the legitimacy of democracy. But sometimes we don't care with legitimacy. So this problem, they don't care also with election integrity. I call it halal election. Now I use the term halal election, but I'm quite afraid if I call it like a haram. No, I don't use the haram, but I use halal election between quotes. Because this, when I use the term halal election, it is very easy. People understand what I mean. Even though I don't need, sometimes I don't need to, what is called, to put it, to give more narrative, what I mean by halal election, something like that. No vote buying, no, something like that. But there's so many actually on that issue. No, what they call, like lying, something. Don't be lying. Too often the principles are ignored because of lack political commitment, insufficient technical knowledge, so many things that actually we have a problem of election in next election. So election, again, election is a very important as instrument of democracy, because the result of the election is leadership. But if the if from the recruitment of the political party, if we are not usually now, because it's a lot of what I call like a survey institution. We have a survey institution. They're very powerful. It's not as a plebiscite democracy, but survey usually is more propaganda. So this is also. But when I said like that in front of many of the institutions, survey institutions, they anti-science, no, because not anti-science, because one of my questioning, who paid you? Who paid you? This is for what I call it like propaganda. Or actually this is for what? So that's why I always giving what is called like please believe, not because of the survey, but you have to work. We call it social capital, and modal capital and modal social, something that costs the money. You need money to do some to go into the election, but at the same time use social capital like the network, the jamaah that you have, using your own social media, using the whole thing that you have. You don't need the money from the bandar, from the oligarchy, rather than then you just put it your neck into your, when you got already, you win in the election, then you look like you're just trapped in their own interest. So popular vote actually usually the one who has the intellectual, the one who has a knowledgeable, sometimes it's very difficult to win, sometimes, but we still believe about that. Don't be so, what they got like. So we have a system leadership election. We already give a model of election in Indonesia in 2004. The politic of administration, election administration is already there, but it is very difficult to have the continuation of the model because of, we need some time to get there. This one is the political party in 2000 and 2004. We have 19 political parties. Usually, political scientists always say, just too many political parties. And said, no, the problem is Indonesian people, is very difficult to have coalition. Like in Malaysia, we have like a Barisan Nasional atau Barisan Pekatan Harapan, something like that. Coalition become very difficult in model Indonesia, the ego. But maybe with the next election, we will have a coalition. So this one is, I call it Islamic. So this is, the very colorful of Indonesian political parties mapping. The red is the PDIP, and now is the important in government executive. Yellow is Golkar during Suharto era, and there is some blue that is Nasdem, that some blue that is political party Demokrat. The green is the P3 and then PKB. So there is some of interesting. P3, PKS, the black one is the PKS, Justice Party. So green, there is some of, I call it nationalist secular and nationalist religious. Western scholars usually call it nationalist versus Islam. It means that, Islam is not nationalist, something like that. So that's why I use the term nationalist secular versus nationalist religious. So is democracy on the right track? We still have a problem. We have to work hard. Weak of rule of law, corruption is still there, abuse power, impunity, violence, criminalize of opposition, lawlessness for the supporter of the regime. If you pro with the regime, then it's easy. You can violate it, regulation, law. But if you're very critical toward the regime, then you have to face a problem. So something like weak. It doesn't mean that all, but weak rule of law. Still poor economic performance, even though the national, like a growth national, but the gap between the rich and the poor is still very wide. Like 100 million poor people. There is one very rich person, similar the wealth with 100 million poor people. We still have a lot of, issue on that issue. Ethnic religious division, we still have whoever, but if you saw member of parliaments wearing hijab, put it all this on the street, you know, then election is so close. If you find a picture, a photo, you know, of a politician, you know, video in your WhatsApp group, politician, actually they never go, maybe not never, very rare to go to mosque, for example, suddenly become imam of the salah. If we just call it, oh, election already close, you know, it's already near election day, something like that. This part of them. In one time they said, oh, don't use religion as to campaign or whatever, something like that in politics. But at the same time, they are the one who said, don't use religion, use it religion for their own sake, something like that. Weak and ineffective political institutions, political party is very expensive, because to go to election, we should have in Indonesia, they should have office in all provinces, 38 provinces now. And we have like 75 offices in local government, 385 something. And then 50% of district, kecamatan, government office. Who actually paid the offices of the political parties? Political parties not allowed to have company. So that's why I call it usually with rent seekers, political party rent seekers. They got like a project from government and something like that. Or now, the one who hold the money is the one in businesses who got what I call it like unholy alliances with the politician, with the regime, for example. So they can have a project on mining industry, nickel, gold, you know, core, and so on and so forth. So they exploit the mining industry. Then they got the money and they paid the political parties to get that money. So very sad, all the history of this one. So bad government. Yeah, we have COVID-19, to our sovereignty on sale. So we have a problem now. Civil Islam, awakening of civil Islamic teaching, believe there is no separation between state and church. Islamic teaching actually gives the ideas of revolutionary to fight for justice, peace, and discrimination. Civil Islam is considered as a political preferences. So political preferences in democracy, you know, you can have. And you vote, for example, it's not only just religion. Religion is sociologist category. People vote because of psychological model, sociological model, gender, ethnic, urban, rural, age, millennial, something like that, generation Z, Y, something like X, and religion, and then rational choice and ideologies. So meaning that we have so many choices, not because of religion, but people usually, oh, don't use religion. Something like that. That's fine. There is no regulation that make voters not allowed to use their political preferences using religious preference. Authoritarian regime always claim they have right to rule and they have legitimate authority through election. When you win the election, whatever, liberal Machiavellian election, fabricated election also, but they always think that, oh, I have the legitimacy. But legitimacy is not only from the election. The policies post-election is the most important in politics. Therefore, the public policy to implement the constitution in the important democracy, especially in the preamble of Indonesian constitution, because preamble of Indonesian constitution not allowed to be changed. You know, atas berkat rahmat Allah Rahmat Allah in that. In Pancasila, the first sila, we call it belief in one God. So like Kul Huwallahu Ahad, something like that. Yeah, believe in one God. You know. So it's very important in Indonesian ideology or philosophy or something like that. Yeah, to protect entire the people of Indonesia and also the entire native land. We are not allowed to sell, and now we have a regulation that you invest in Indonesia, you can have 190 years using land in Indonesia. So we are very sad with the new regulation of Undang-Undang Ketenagakerjaan. Yeah, to make prosper of the people of Indonesia, not the people of Vietnam, not the people of China, not the people of Australia, but Indonesian people, to make the Indonesian people improve their intelligence. You know, the people's sovereignty is the essence of democracy, because democracy always, why democracy is very interesting, the people sovereignty, not the elite sovereignty. Yeah, the Muslim social solidarity among we call it women's, mothers, we call it mothers, but usually used by rural area to combat COVID-19, to help needed, have not among the way participation among the civil Islam. So we did a lot of work, the organization, civil society worked well. And we always criticize the government because the government is more, they're working with the business person. For example, is buying a vaccine, government already put a lot of budget, national budget for health, but not go through the people who need it, something like that. We have a problem on that issue. Do we have a trust with this? Something like that, yeah. Indonesia is very important position. We have choke point, one of very important choke point. 40% of very busy Malacca Strait. So we are in very fortunate, barakallah, with a very rich, the most populous Muslim country in the world, very rich with resources, natural resources, but we are still struggling now to have the right leaders at that moment, How about what we should do with Indonesia, Pakistan? In the era of Indo-Pacific era, I think we need young politicians should be exposed into global leaders. Come on, not only just lecturing like this, but we have to have like a young politician cooperation. What should we do? Because we have a similar basis, mostly the major of the population, majority of the population are Muslim. Built Islamic civilization of rahmatan lil alamin. Usually we call, oh Islam fundamentalist, oh Islam radical, oh Islam terrorist. No, Islam bring peace. It's not very easy if you to kill people. You kill one person, meaning you kill the whole of the humankind in the world. It's not easy. Especially, so many, if you read Hadith Arba'in, Imam Nawawi, for example, that's very interesting because it's not easy to go to war, But if there is a regime who are unjust, there is a munkar and something like that, don't follow the regime like this, because you make a sin, something like that. This one of the, if you read Imam Nawawi, Hadith number 8, also is sanad by, this is in Muslim, Sahih Muslim. So quite interesting. This thesis against the thesis of Huntington of class of civilization, because Huntington wrote a book on class of civilization. The border between Islam and non-Muslim is bloody border. So I think Pakistan has a very important task on that issue. Islam and democracy is compatible according to many Western leaders, not scholars, Western leaders. But what kind of democracy, according to the Islamic view, have to be decided by Ummah as the model of ijtihad. There are many models of democracy. We are mostly implementing the liberal democracy model. Mostly in the world now, liberal democracy. We have to define what democracy with the Islamic value, for example. There is a wrong claim that Islam is not tolerant, like Indonesia. Oh, I'm a Pancasila, I'm Bhinneka, and you Muslim, you're not tolerant, and so on and so forth. So we have a problem on that one. The politic is part of the Islamic values: justice, humanity, tolerance, civilized, peace, and have to be a moral ethic in political life. Moral ethics. So if we choose leaders, number one is moral ethics, consistent, and so on and so forth on the moral and ethics. Number two is knowledgeable, and then electability. Usually people only just choose the electability rather than the morality and the knowledgeable. So we have a problem with political party, especially on recruitment of the candidate. Islamic politics always will be in the picture of Indonesian politics, because Pancasila is also the Islamic value. You're the ulama, the construction of Indonesian nation at that moment, mostly ulama, have all these ideas of the 5 pillars of Indonesian politics, Pancasila, because there is adab, the peradaban, beradab, one God, beradab, persatuan Indonesia. So we have the unity, and then musyawarah, mufakat, all this, and adil, keadilan sosial, social justice for all Indonesian citizens, not only just a few oligarchy economy, something like that. So therefore, the separation between state and church and religion doesn't work in Indonesian democracy. So it's very, very important that Indonesia, Pakistan, see, we have similar direction to build democracy for baldatun thayyibatun warabbun ghafur. So very important. With Allah, with ridho Allah, the relationship with two respective countries. So Pak Zul, not only just for lecturing, but we have to build no more one step ahead. Young politician from Pakistan and Indonesia, build together the ideas of Islam and democracy. What should we do, and so on? What kind of Islam and democracy? And we not only just on ideas, but also to implement, as a member of political parties or as an academic or something like that. Yeah, very important to build. So we have 2004, who will be the next president. We have now, on the papers, on the discussion, we have 3 person here: Anies Baswedan, Prabowo, and Ganjar. Conclusion remark: Islam and democracy is compatible. President Carter in election commission. So when I was election commissioners, President Carter came to my office, to our office. But in US media, in the US, they stated that democracy won from Islam. I don't know which one is right, but whatever. We believe that democracy is, we have Islamic democratic governance. There are many models of democracy. We are implementing the liberal democracy model at the moment. Do we need a new model of democracy? We have a model of democracy a la Indonesia. We have to put it in ideas and in implementation, democracy Pancasila. So we have to have our own tafsir of democracy Pancasila. Yeah, democracy with a religious value, transcendent. We have to be account in front of God in the beyond life. If we believe in Iman, we believe in Qadha and Qadar, and we believe in Yaumil Hisab, because everything will be Hisab after life, beyond life. The concept of democracy is majority rule. This one, I just try to learn. You can find also so many in Al-Quran called wa aktsaruhum wa aktsaruhum fasikun. Majority they fasik. Wa aktsaruhum kafirun, wa aktsaruhum. So many wa aktsaruhum. Yeah. Majority Muslim, only wa aktsaruhum negative. Yeah. But in democracy, liberal democracy, wa aktsaruhum, majority rule. So I'm just thinking, what should we do with the whole ideas of how God, how Allah give some ideas in the Quran, wa aktsaruhum. You know, so check in our Quran. So what can I do? What can we do? Ikra. And we believe usually if I give like a talk with a member of a parliament during the strategic of election, you know, how to win in election, they always use, they don't believe with iman, qadha dan qadar. They only just believe if you have money, you will win. But actually, like in Indonesia, we have 575 members of parliament. But we have candidates 7,900 something. So meaning only 575 will win, and we have 7,000 who lose, and both of them, they use money also. So meaning that many who are losing the election, who lose election, that actually also they have money. So we have to believe that according to Islam, so this is Ali Imran. So I just put it in my Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, in my handphone.
وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير.
So I can read the say Allah, Lord of power and rule. Though, not though, give power to whom thou pleases, and those strip of power from whom thou pleases, though endues with honor whom thou pleases, and thou brings low who thou pleases. In the hand is all good. Verily over all the things thou hast power. If we believe as a Muslim, if we believe power is God in a God hand, why you use if you believe in iman, qadha and qadar, why you just doing non-halal election, money politics? Because we believe that our rizki already put it in Loh Mahfud 50,000 years before the world and all the sky was created by God. So I just give like, you have to believe this one. If you would like to take a power, go in a halal way, inshallah barakah. So I close with this one because it's very important as a Muslim, and hopefully some of you will be a politician with number one, have like morality and ethics. Number two, knowledgeable. You understand who's your constituent, who's your people, who your supporter, because it's very important to understand, and you have to be representative of the people, not representative of United States, not representative of China, not representative of other countries, but for representative of the people who are unfortunate, less fortunate in your country. So the third thing is electability. What political party would you like to join, and so on and so forth. If we believe like that, wow, we can do something together, something like that. I'm sorry if little bit too much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Anyone have any question? Seems like no one have any questions. So we wrap for today's session. I want to extend a big thank you to our speaker for sharing their insight. Let's also express the gratitude to all of you for engaging and participating. Remember, the journey of learning continue. Until next time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session. Now we are ending our session. Thank you.